Well, hi again, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Matt Report, courtesy of the Cobos Insurance Center and Century 21 Deanna Family Realty. Tim Alcorn with AM 930 WEOL. Always a pleasure to be sitting right next to Shaun Bennett from the Chronicle Telegram, the area's top reporter as far as covering the wrestling beat is concerned. And even though you won't hear from him, a great big thank you to Bruce Bishop behind the camera. Bruce, really working hard this week to make sure that we can get the Matt Report out to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Over there, got a good sweat on. He's rolling wires and adjusting lights, and yeah, got it all together here.
You've got a little bit of everything going on. All right, let's delve right into it as far as wrestling is concerned, and certainly right out of the chute as far as this week's Matt Report is concerned. We want to talk about one of the great wrestling tournaments, not only in the state of Ohio, but really across the country. They come from everywhere for the Iron Man down at Walsh Jesuit. And Shaun Bennett for the Elyria High Pioneers and their wrestling program, considered one of the best in the state and sometimes nationally ranked. They afforded themselves very, very well.
Yeah, and I think the Pioneers kind of went into the Ironman feeling a little disrespected. They opened the season ranked 16th in the nation. And then they lost those two wrestlers, which we had talked about, and Intermat dropped them down to 32nd before they even really wrestled. They actually had two good wins and end up dropping 16 places. So they go in, they have a top 10 finish, one of their best finishes ever, 3 placers on the podium.
Awesome.
Did jump up 5 spots in the national rankings after that performance. Could even been more, to be honest. A lot of teams that they beat at the Ironman are still ahead of them in the rankings, national rankings. So I expect Elyria to just kind of use this tournament to kind of get on a roll and start moving on.
As far as those Elyria placers, who really kind of shone down there at the Ironman for the Pioneers, Shaun?
Well, they all just if you place, it's an amazing feat because it's 93 teams.
So
it's
stacked.
It's unbelievable. So obviously the 3 placers for Elyria were Dylan Shaver, Mick Burnett, excuse me, and Jake Evans were the 3 placers. Just a few things I'd like to point out, though. Before I go to Dylan Shaw and Mick Burnett, Bryce Allison at 113 had a really close 1-0 matchup with LaSalle's Dustin Norris. He's ranked number 14 in the nation. Wow. So a real nice battle. Good showing there for Bryce Allison. And another guy named Enrique Munguia at 152 pounds beat Brecksville's Victor Voinovich 7-4 in overtime. He's ranked number 9 in the nation. So 2 guys who maybe don't get as much of a bright spotlight shine on them as some of those other guys had really nice matches there. But of the placers, the 2 that that I definitely want to talk about is Dylan Shaver. He beat number 19 in the nation from Pomona, Colorado, Daniel Cardano 6-3 in the 3rd round, and then he pinned Montini Catholic from Illinois, Dylan Ragusin, who's ranked number 9 in the nation, pinned him in 1 minute and 46 seconds in the consolation 7th round.
That's a phenomenal performance.
Mick Burnett beat a lot of top-level guys, but the matches I point out for him are 2 losses because they were pretty impressive. They were pretty. I know it's hard to think, a loss, but he wrestled Jordan Decatur, who was number 1 in the nation from CVCA in the consolation semis, and only lost 7-3. It was a tight match. He really showed that he could hang with the number 1 guy in the entire country. And then in his placement match, he took on Wyoming Seminary's Bo Bartlett, ranked number 3 in the nation, and it was a 3-2 loss. So he really and he ended up because of that, he wasn't ranked going into that. He's now ranked number 19 in the nation. Mick Burnett is. So and then Dylan Shaver for his efforts was ranked 16 in the nation, jumped up to number 11. So 2 nationally ranked guys for the Pioneers now because of great showings there at the Ironman.
When you're in the top 20 in the country, I mean, think about that. Top 20 in the country in your weight class. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's very impressive. And Elyria as a team has been nationally ranked now 5 years in a row. These guys, they've had national ranked wrestlers almost all those years, so they're definitely on the map. They've been on the map locally for a long time, but they are now a national powerhouse.
Congratulations to those guys. All right, a couple of wrestlers that we want to talk about as well from last week. Shaun likes to call this his top 3 performances. Daniel Bubba Finley from Lorain, Adam Loft from Amherst, and Jacob Dunstan from North Ridgeville. Those 3 guys really stood out last week.
Yeah, and obviously I could have given it to a lot of Elyria wrestlers because they did so great, but because we had their own segment, that's why I kind of went with some different guys. But Daniel and Adam, Daniel, we call him Bubba Finley. That's what his dad calls him, Bubba Finley, and Adam Loft, both won tournament titles after winning tournament titles week 1. So they won 2 straight tournament titles, which is Really impressive, super impressive. They went on to do that. And then Jacob Dunstan won North Ridgeville's only championship, 132 pounds, at the Mike Lewis Invitational Buckeye, but helped lead. I think they had 10 places altogether, but he helped lead North Ridgeville to the team title. And North Ridgeville hasn't won a tournament championship in a while from my memory, but they had a good showing at the Cobos last week in Avon Lake. Top 5 finish there, and then they go in and win the Mike Lewis this week, so they're off to a really hot start.
And obviously, again, these guys affording themselves very, very well on the mat, really shining as far as Lorain County Wrestling is concerned. Are we ready to talk about my favorite move?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, my favorite move. Again, this is a special feature each and every week during the Matt Report. It's brought to you by our good friends at Century 21 Deanna Family Realty. There's a nice tie in there as far as move and moving with Century 21 Deanna Family Realty. I understand we're going to watch Zach Anderson from Midview perform a move this week.
Right. Midview senior Zach Anderson, state alternate a couple years ago, I think 3-time district qualifier. Very good technical wrestler. Going to show, like Mick Burnett in last week's segment, his favorite way to get a guy down on the mat. It's a takedown move to earn 2 points and get riled up for getting a lead in the match.
All right, so here is my favorite move, brought to you by Century 21 Deanna Family Realty. Performing that move, Zach Anderson from Midview High School.
I'm Zach Anderson, senior here at Midview High School. I'm going to show you my sweep double. So what I like to do to set up this move is I have an inside tie on the side. I'm going to hit my single. Got a elbow control on the other side. Got my head position right, so I'm going to pull him, get my single leg. He's going to land here. I'm going to grab around this knee here. I'm going to pull this elbow over. When she wipes my feet, wrap him up, hit my double.
So as you can see, Zach, very similar. It's a sweep double, very similar to the duck under that Mick Burnett used last week. No surprise, though. These guys are both technical wrestlers. They like to put up the points, and it's a pretty slick move.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. Really cool. Again, thanks to Zach Anderson for kind of sharing some of his on-mat secrets with us, per se. Well, again, a feature that we like to bring you each and every week during our Matt Report is called the Spotlight on an Area Coach. Now, you mentioned the young wrestler from Lorain a little bit earlier, Bubba Finley. Of course, Lorain is coached by his dad, Dan Finley.
Right. First-year coach took over from Mark Mose, and we asked them questions like we did preseason and just picked out a few points on Dan. We talked about high school highlights. He was a 4-time conference champion and held the pin record at Southview. So really impressive there, Southview wrestling record for Dan Finley. His best coaching memory, coaching his son at his son's first OAC, which is grade school, state tournament, and watching him take 3rd place.
That's cool.
Coaches who have influenced him, his brother John Finley, Dan and Tommy Turnus, legends in the Lorain wrestling scene, and Pepe Ruiz. His favorite move to teach young wrestlers is the double leg. His favorite college program is Ohio State. Toughest opponent, as probably everybody in Division I, St. Edward.
No stunner there.
And in his free time, he likes hunting and going to the beach house. Now, I don't know if that means he rents a beach house, but if he owns a beach house, we're going to have to get friendly.
I was going to say, yes, we've become your best friend, Mr. Finley.
I could see the Matt Report live from the Finley Beach House.
That would be a lot of fun. All right, Shaun, we started this last week with the Matt Report, some weekly trivia. Now, before we get to this week's trivia, I think we need to answer last week's trivia.
Yeah, we said the Elyria had the Lone County State Championship in 1973, and one Pioneer won a state title that year at 126 pounds. The answer to that, Ricky Lewis. Ricky Lewis was that wrestler, and I did actually see some online guesses, and I did see Ricky Lewis's name pop up. So those who guessed Ricky Lewis, congrats, great job.
Boy, think about how long ago that was. And we talked about how great Elyria's wrestling program is, and certainly they're carrying on that standard this year. You mentioned earlier, perhaps that's a goal to get that first championship since back in the early 70s.
Yeah, and they had the horses to do it. obviously, like we said, a lot of people have said they might be the ones to beat this year. They had a couple of those wrestlers lose, but I think they still, I mean, the way they showed up last time, they still have LaSalle and St. Ed's finished higher than them at Ironman, but they've got the horses maybe in a dual match or something heads up. They could definitely put up a fight.
All right, so let's turn our attention to this week's trivia. So what's rolling through that wrestling mind of yours this week?
Well, just throw out a few trivia tidbits like I did last week. We'll start with there was only one division in wrestling until 1971. They only the whole pool wrestled as one. Then they broke it into two, which was Class AAA and then Class A-AA. So the other two classes in some sports where they had three, they still only had two because they put the two small groups together. In 1976, they split that into three with Class AAA, Class AA, and Class A. And then finally, they went to the current divisions 1, 2, and 3 in 1988. That's when we got our current setup. So the question for next week, we just talked about Ricky Lewis and Illyria winning those state championships, team and individual. That same year, in 1973, Oberlin High School got its first state championship for a wrestler. Who was that wrestler that won the state championship? And hint, it was at 155 pounds.
155, Oberlin, 1973. All right. You got my wheels turning on that. All right. Before we close things down, any final thoughts on the Matt Report before we hear from one of the area's top wrestlers in the pinning down segment?
No, just, great wrestling on the mats the first 2 weeks. A lot of teams involved, so get out there, watch your teams. Please feel free to retweet this video so that we can get the information out there to the wrestling fans. It's been great, so I really appreciate anybody who can get that job done.
All right, Shaun's getting a phone call, so we got to get out of here. Shaun Bennett, thanks to you. Bruce Bishop behind the camera, thanks to you. And, of course, the biggest thanks goes to you, the viewers. Coming up next on Pinning Down, we've got a wrestler from Avon Lake.
Yeah, Avon Lake's Alec Negron. We caught up with him at his host tournament in week 1. Real good wrestler. I saw him at the district tournament multiple times. I think he's a multi-time district qualifier. Great kid.
All right, so let's hear from Alec. And again, thank you much for watching, and so long, everybody.
All right, wrestling fans, I've happened to pin down Avon Lake senior Alec Negron. Alec, we're just going to do kind of a fun interview here. Let's start with, what is your favorite move?
My favorite move is definitely the high crotch, because when you get him up in the air, it's easy to just throw half and get him to back with his extra back points too.
What would be the first thing that you would buy after you won the lottery?
Oh, if I won the lottery, I'd probably go and buy. I'd definitely pay for my college first thing. I'd pay for my college.
Awesome. What's your favorite pump-up song before you hit the mat?
My favorite song is EI by Nelly. EI by Nelly, yeah.
If you could be any animal for 24 hours, what would you be?
Any animal? I'd definitely be a lion because they're the king of the jungle.
What was the last TV show you watched?
Criminal Minds.
What is your personal record for tacos eaten in one sitting?
Oh, it's probably like 12.
Wow. What country outside the United States would you like to visit?
I'd like to go visit probably London.
Are you usually early or late to something?
Usually early.
And what is the last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw was The New It.
The New It.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping off with us. Thanks, Alex.
Thank you.